Anyhow, next up we have guest director Mark Ivan O'Gorman, whose career is both an international and a homegrown one. Let's take a sneak peek at some of Mark Ivan's work. I'm here with Mark Ivan O'Gorman, filmmaker. Mark Ivan, thank you very much for coming in and chatting to us.
My pleasure.
You're from Carlow.
That's right.
Which is a cultural centre.
Well, I don't know about that, but it is where I'm from.
So you started off your career in film as actually a theatre actor.
Yeah, that's right. That's my hometown, and when I'm in Ireland, I'm based there. And when I grew up there and in school, I was in the school shows, and even as a little kid, basically from as early as I remember, I always wanted to be an actor, and I was really into big MGM musicals, and
Brilliant.
Fred Astaire and Gene Kelly and all that.
Singing in the Rain, classic.
Yeah,
it's my favourite. I love it.
Yeah, it's lovely, and I don't know. It really appealed to me when I was little, and my mom used to have a bed and breakfast, and I used to go down and entertain the guests when I was about 7, and I'd go out and do my little routines.
With your umbrella.
Yeah, that's right, around the kitchen while they were eating their full Irish breakfast. These
I
German
didn't know
lady.
what to make of you.
I don't know, maybe it must have been entertaining. You just thought, oh, this is what every B&B is in Ireland. When you bring out, child labour does a little show for you, and it's okay, whatever. They don't have good coffee, and there isn't a power shower, but they have great breakfast entertainment. So I always wanted to do that. And then when I was in school shows, I'd be very prominent in them. And then I was in local musicals and street theatre, and I did mime on the street. And
wow.
Oh yeah.
So you've done everything pretty much.
Well, that was pretty risky because you could
have got beaten up, especially in Carlow.
Well, I don't want to go down Carlow here, but I did get. Yes, there were occasions where I required a minder. In retrospect, it was quite a brave thing. But yeah, so I did all of those things, and I did start in the sort of little theatres and all that at home, and from there, then I went on, and I didn't pay much attention in school because I was convinced that was going to be my whole career for the rest of my life. And then
so who needs an education?
That's right. I'm going to be an actor. I don't even know anything. It's a total waste of time. And no, don't kids stay in school. That was wrong, by the way. So immediately when I left school, I went and I joined a theatre company, and it was a theatre and education company, and I toured around, and I did that, and I went into various sort of other fringe and experimental things. But it was after a while, I really enjoyed acting, but I kind of felt, I don't know if I like it as something that I depend on to make my livelihood.
Yeah.
I found it a little bit precarious and a little bit. Now, I think people can have a very healthy attitude to how they approach if they're being professional actors. But my thing with the audition, I felt very compelled to be liked. And that's not really, I guess, what you should be thinking about as an actor.
Yeah.
And all of those things, and also the theatre and education thing. It's hard slog. You're doing 2 schools a day, and you're traveling around, and you're setting up your set and doing a show, and the kids aren't necessarily interested. They're thinking this is time off school, and so then this is not the glamorous thing I signed up for. so then I said, oh, maybe get behind the camera because
it'll have a bit more regularity.
Yeah, how naive. I know, but anyway, I guess it's a little. It is you can create opportunities for yourself, maybe a little bit more.
When you're the boss man.
Yeah, but it all boils down to getting money then before you can get your projects.
Yeah.
So that's where it started. Yeah.
And you continued into directing and writing.
Yeah, and well, I mean, I think it's it's not a natural evolution for everybody. Some people just always like performing, but for me, there's so many aspects of it that I liked, and I went, oh yeah, I'll go and
give it a bash.
Yeah, and I saw, and so then I went back into college as a mature student. I mean, I was only 21. But it's funny, a mature student after a couple of years acting, and then I went into I did the course in DIT in Dublin, and then I went on and I studied in America.
So you said you went and you lived in LA for a while.
Yeah, when one of my student shorts won a scholarship to study in the States in Syracuse University in upstate New York, and so I went there and I did my master's degree there, and they were all, they were saying there's no point if you're interested in film not going to Los Angeles.
Yeah. It's like the Holy Grail.
Yeah, well, they kept saying that, and I thought, oh, that's quite interesting. I hadn't been very drawn to America prior to getting the scholarship, but then I was there and I found it, that my perspective of it was very narrow, and I thought, okay, let's, do that. And I had a visa after you studied there. You have a year's visa to go and
brilliant.
work.
Okay, wow, yeah.
So I moved to Los Angeles, and I ended up teaching in a film school there.
Oh, okay.
And it allowed me get an extended visa based on that. So I taught in the film school in Universal Studios in New York Film Academy,
brilliant.
but in LA, and I ended up working there for 4.5 years. And
so you had quite a long spell of time there.
well, yeah, because it's just, I actually love Los Angeles.
I'd say it's great. I've never been, but
yeah, I mean, people tend to go there because for film work, and they think, oh, it's just for business, and they're a little bit alienated by the way the city's planned out. Like you have to drive everywhere, and it's actually 40 cities kind of merged together.
Wow, okay.
So it's very spread out, and it's very freeway oriented, but oriented. There's an Americanism, it's orientated, or whatever. But I loved it. I found it, Southern Californian weather is lovely, and it makes you want to be. You get up in the morning and you go, oh, I think I'll go for a run. Could you imagine thinking that in Ireland?
No,
going, I would love to go for a run. It's 8 o'clock in the morning, but in LA, it's just the sun comes in and you go, I want to get out there. And I like that, and it's very multicultural, and there's lots of really interesting. I mean, it's hard the first year in Los Angeles, very hard for people, because it's just get their mind around this is the city. There's no city center, and there's most places you can't really walk anywhere. But I love it. I'd go back and live there again.
And while you were there as well, you shot a feature film called Black Magic.
That's right. Yeah. I was doing little bits and pieces, but it was kind of problematic because my visa was connected with the teaching.
Okay, yeah.
And so I couldn't take on independent things
outside of it, yeah.
Well, it was just made it a bit tricky. It'd have to be certain parameters. But I managed to get involved in this film, which was approached by some producers. And they wanted an idea, and they wanted a script written, and so I drafted first draft, and they liked that, and I finished it, and then they said, how would you like to direct it? And I said, well, okay.
Yes, please.
Okay, yeah. And it was set in Los Angeles and in Bangkok, and so we shot in both locations.
Oh, brilliant. So you also do quite a bit of experimental film work.
Yeah.
Tell us about that.
Well, experimental films, I guess experimental film by and large is things that are not narrative, maybe. And there's a sort of structures for the funding and kind of distribution of narrative stuff. So, broadcasters and film boards and independent, and you do certain lengths, you do feature films or drama series, whatever. With experimental film, it's harder to get money, but it's also, in some ways, easier for the filmmaker to express certain ideas that don't fit into the sort of normal drama or narrative. Because drama and narrative is lovely, and I really enjoy it. But there's certain aspects of film that I like, and I guess some people enjoy just because they're cinematic.
Yeah.
But they're not. It's not a sort of a stage play adapted, or it's not a novel adapted. It's not another form transposed into film, but just going, oh, how does this idea carry across just as images and just with music? But
Let's talk about your short films for a minute. I mean, they've won tons of awards on the film festival circuit.